Democracy Now!
It is our absolute honor to welcome you all here to Democracy Now's 30th anniversary. It is hard to contemplate a celebration at this time. Amidst the US-Israeli war on Iran and other armed conflicts, rising authoritarianism, power-hungry billionaires, and the worsening climate catastrophe. But gatherings like this are essential. To remind us that the gathering storm, despite the forces of oppression that threaten us all on the planet, there is a force more powerful. And that is all of you gathered here tonight at Riverside Church, but in all over this country and around the world, of people joining together, organizing for peace and justice. It was in this very sanctuary here in Riverside Church that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his famous speech, Beyond Vietnam, a time to break silence, on April 4th, 1967, a year to the day before he was assassinated in Memphis. King called out in that speech, the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government, he said. Dr. King warned, when machines and computers, profit motives and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, extreme materialism, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. How prescient he was. And you know, at the time, King was attacked viciously and publicly for opposing the war. Life magazine accused him in an editorial of betraying the cause for which he has worked for so long, adding, his speech was a demagogic slander that sounded like a script from Radio Hanoi. King, though, was undeterred, and his commitment to peace, despite enormous pressure to back off, should be a lesson for us all today. Yep. Yes, tonight is a celebration not only of 30 years of Democracy Now!, but of the resilience of people and movements we strive to cover in this country and around the world. This is such an honor to be here with you and to be with my colleagues, Juan González and Nermeen Shaikh and the whole family. We're going to take you on a journey today. We're going to take you on a journey with, we'll be talking to Angela Davis. We'll be hearing Patti Smith. There was a silver lining to that bomb cyclone of February 23rd, and that's that Patti became available, and the great filmmaker and artist and citizen of the world, Michael Stipe, will also be performing. And we're going to hear from the Pulitzer Prize-winning poet, Mosab Abu Toha. And the great V, the world-renowned playwright. That's all coming up. And we're going to be playing clips of a new film out on Democracy Now! That you'll be getting a sneak peek to, called Steal This Story, Please. We're also going to hear from Hurray for the Riff, Raff. But before all of that, I also wanted to note people in the audience. I am so honored that Delroy Lindo flew across the country. Delroy, I want to say, Delroy, who was nominated for an Oscar in his astounding performance in Sinners. But Delroy, the 50 years that you have given to us on stage, in film, inspiring us, moving us. I can't wait for that memoir next year. And then there's the great Professor Rashid Khalidi, who is sitting right in front. Thank you for your work of decades, and I want to welcome La Concordia not only to this space today, but out of jail and ICE prison for almost a year. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. And there's so many others. We're also going to hear Aaron Dessner. I can't believe you came tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But we're going to take you on a journey of those 30 years, and we're going to begin back at the beginning. You know, we were just on 9 stations when we started, together with Juan, in 1996, the only daily election show in public broadcasting. We're going to wrap right up after the election, but then people wanted the show more after the election than before, and so it grew. But let's go back to the beginning. Also, by the way, just an enormous shout out to Patty Galuzzi, who helped make tonight possible. And to all of our families who are here today, I want to say thank you to my brothers, Steve, David, and Dan, who have come out, and my nephews and nieces. What a difference it makes to not only see them as my family, but these great guys, the whole Democracy Now! Team, and all of you. None of us can do this alone. We're all in this together. Hey, Maggie Gyllenhaal and Peter Sarsgaard. Maggie, I am looking forward to that film, The Bride, and for all your great work. And Peter, wow. So let's go back to Democracy Now! 30 years ago.
Democracy Now! Began on 9 radio stations in 1996. We were a daily morning show, providing a forum to challenge those in power and to bring out the voices of people who are not usually heard.
Juan González is a columnist with the Daily News in New York. He is also my co-host here. The Village Voice calls him the most radical person in the above-it-all world of New York daily journalism.
The human rights abuses that occur, especially in the maquiladoras and in Tijuana.
When we first started this little radio show, my colleagues in the commercial media would constantly tell me, what are you doing? Working with that little radical radio station that nobody listens to, and why are you wasting your time with that? And I would say, listen, the audience of Democracy Now! Is completely different than the readership of the New York Daily News. You have no idea who we are reaching. I always saw my role in journalism as helping to shape a different narrative. I was an advocacy journalist long before the term was developed, right? Because I knew from the beginning, I can only see the world through my eyes.
Up until this time, there wasn't a real radical movement. There was a movement of the mouth. And now there's a real movement in the sense of people committed to social change.
I was one of the founding members of the Young Lords in New York City. We probably got the most favorable news coverage of any revolutionary organization of the 1960s and 70s. But it was no accident. We cultivated that image.
The Lords have a strong sense of community, and while they may be regarded as a threat to the white establishment downtown, their stock here in El Barrio is rising rapidly.
We understood the importance of being able to package our message and our stories for the commercial and corporate media. And we learned that if you don't fashion your own narrative, others will do it for you.
I don't hear the business community complaining about the fact that they have inexpensive labor.
The key thing about democracy now is that we just let people talk.
Members of the local police department admitted...
The more you hear people talk, you get a better sense of what they stand for, and you can make up your mind yourself.
That's an excerpt of a film that's to be released around the country on April 10th, starting at the IFC here in New York, and we're going to talk more about that soon. But most importantly right now, this is Juan González.
Thank you. Thank you. And to Amy and Nermeen and the rest of the DN team. 30 years is a long time to be doing anything, especially when it is a third or fourth act in one's life, which is why I told Amy a few months ago that this will be my last year at Democracy Now!, though we haven't yet settled on the exact date. As this clip showed, by the time I started co-hosting this show in 1996, I'd already been working as a journalist in the corporate press for more than 20 years, including some short stints with the Spanish language press. More importantly, I'd been immersed in the organizing and building of revolutionary and mass progressive movements even longer than that, beginning with my involvement in the historic Columbia student strike of 1968 and my work with SDS, then to the founding of the Young Lords, as is mentioned in the clip, from 1969 to 74, where I was privileged to be part of the most brilliant, charismatic, and dedicated group of revolutionaries in US Latino history. Then on to other battles that the clip doesn't touch on. Organizing massive voter registration campaigns in Philadelphia in 1978 that led to the electoral defeat of the city's fascist mayor, Frank Rizzo, and the birth of modern black political power in that city. To my participation in building the National Congress for Puerto Rican Rights and the National Association of Hispanic Journalists in the 1980s. Through my involvement as strike committee chairman of the last two successful newspaper labor battles of the late 20th century, the 5-week strike at the Philadelphia Daily News and Inquirer in 1985, and the titanic 5-month strike by 2,500 New York Daily News workers in 1990 to 91. To spearheading the creation of Unity, journalists of color, in the early 1990s. Throughout all these struggles, I never stopped studying the lessons, good and bad, of past revolutions. from the Paris Commune to the Mexican and Russian revolutions, from China to Vietnam to Cuba, from South Africa and Namibia to Angola and Guinea-Bissau, from Chile, El Salvador and Nicaragua to Iran, Palestine, and the Philippines. So in late 1995, when Julie Drizzen, then the national news director of Pacifica Radio, and I believe Julie is in the audience, asked me to become the part-time co-host of a brand new election year program that the network was starting with Amy Goodman as the anchor, I initially said no. I'm a writer and a print reporter, not a radio person, I told her. But Julie kept after me, and I finally agreed to give it a shot along with two other rotating co-hosts, Larry Bensky and Salim Wakil. By the end of 1996, both Larry and Salim had moved on to other endeavors, leaving just me and Amy and one producer, I think it was Dan Coughlin at the time, to continue the show. A few years later, in early 2001, some of you may remember, I quit the show publicly, on the air, without even letting Amy know, and called for a staff and listener revolt against Pacifica's management and the board of directors, who had been captured by a neoliberal corporate group that was targeting Amy for her independence and firing other producers at will. Thousands of listeners responded, and within a year, our Pacifica campaign had forced all the old management and structure out and created a new structure, more democratic structure for Pacifica. We continued at DN as an independent news production, and the range of events we've been able to cover over the decades, the many voices we've showcased from the people's movements, the range of writers, musicians, and filmmakers we've interviewed has been astonishing. Whether it was the Seattle protests against the WTO, the barbaric executions carried out in the US, the airing of those brilliant essays from prison of Mumia Abu Jamal, our unique coverage of international climate summits, the coups in Haiti, the Israeli wars and genocide against the Palestinians, the pivotal role of whistleblowers and muckrakers like Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, and Chelsea Manning, or our coverage of Standing Rock. Democracy Now!, under Amy's intrepid leadership, has helped to redefine what independent, people-centered news means in the 21st century. As a result, the show and its staff have grown in influence far beyond what any of us could have imagined. So many terrific young people have come through our doors and grown with us, many moving on to do their own amazing journalism. People like Jeremy Scahill, Sharif Abdul Qudus, David Love, Maria Cajon, Aaron Mate, Nicole Salazar, Amy Littlefield, Laura Gottesdiener, Lenina Nadal, Renee Felds, John Hamilton, Juan Carlos Davila, and many others. It has truly been a privilege and an honor to work with all these colleagues and to be welcomed into the homes of you, our audience, for so many years. My modest contribution as a part-time host and secretary-treasurer of the board of Pacifica all these years was to shed light not so much on the who, what, where, and when of the news, but on the why and the how, the historical context and broader framework of social forces underlying those events. All of our achievements, however, have always been bittersweet for me. For even as the show has thrived, and even as platforms for news and information, including progressive and independent ones, have proliferated, the American public's consciousness has plummeted when it comes to the malevolent, destructive, and barbaric role of US imperialism, whether in its neoliberal or its fascist management form, in our contemporary world. Morality, decency, the quest for peaceful resolution of conflict, empathy for the weak and the powerful are branded as weaknesses, while bombast, cruelty, patriarchy, the frenzy for obscene profits, hate, torture, outright fraud, and lies are celebrated as signs of strength and power. Sadly, reporting the truth is important, but it is not sufficient to make a better world possible, especially when capitalism with artificial intelligence and internet bots has mastered to previously unimagined levels the mass production of disinformation and alternative realities. In the end, only organizing resistance of working class and oppressed peoples of the world, strengthened by revolutionary analysis, can bring about a better world. In fact, I've at times remarked that our name itself, Democracy Now!, was perhaps ill-chosen. Everyone, after all, claims to be for democracy. But what kind of a democracy do we seek? The kind fostered by the industrial West, where the people cast ballots periodically between 2 or 3 sets of candidates handpicked and financed by competing segments of the same billionaire class, while the vast majority of people confront the seemingly perpetual chaos of modern life, ruined living standards, the collapse of our mental and physical health, the poisoning of our planet, and endless wars? Or the kind where dissident intellectuals, journalists, civil society groups, largely of middle-class status and financed by Western foundations or the CIA or the NED, or other powerful governments, market and proclaim the sanctity of individual freedom above all else. They stir up grassroots color revolutions, cheer on humanitarian interventions such as Serbia, Libya, Syria, and Venezuela, but never ever challenge the role of capitalism and imperialism. Or is it the kind of people's democracies, with all their faults and imperfections, mostly in the global South, which continue to dare to create some sort of rational, non-capitalist or socialist alternative despite crippling sanctions, financial strangulation, military coups, and despite disdain from Western liberals or even Western Marxists for failings or their authoritarian nature? And which is more pressing today for the majority of the world's population, the defense of individual liberties and the formal right to vote, or the basic needs of survival, decent housing, adequate health care, clean water, quality education, and when they conflict, on which side do Western revolutionaries and progressives stand? These are questions not easily answered, but we must continue to ask them. Even among ourselves in Democracy Now!, we have not always agreed on the best way to cover these complex issues, but we keep trying. And I'm sure that long after I'm gone, our staff and other radical journalists will keep it up. For as the Black Panther Party often reminded us, and as the Palestinian and Iranian people and the Iraqi people and the Afghan people have proved, the spirit of the people is greater than the man's technology. And as we always said in the Young Lords, pa'lante, siempre pa'lante, hasta la victoria. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Juan, I wish we could fulfill your every wish, but there's one that we cannot honor, Juan. There's one wish we cannot honor, and that is Juan leaving sometime this year. But other than that, we're going to work together. I want to introduce no one more appropriate to perform after Juan González than Hurray for the Riff Raff with the Bronx-born Alinda Segarra. The band's new album has just come out. It's called Live Forever. This song, Pa'lante, was featured in the short New York Times documentary Takeover about the young lords who took over Lincoln Hospital in 1970. Pa'lante means onwards, or as Juan says, right on.
just wanna go to work, get back home, be something. I just wanna fall in line, do my time, be something. I just wanna prove my worth on the planet Earth and be something. I just wanna fall in love and not ruin it and feel something. Well, lately I don't understand what I am. Treated as a fool, not quite a woman or a man. Well, I don't know, I guess I don't understand the plan. Colonized and hypnotized, be something. Sterilized, dehumanized, I'll be something. They tell you take your pay, but stay out the way. Go be something. They tell you do your best, forget the rest. Be something. Well, lately it's been mighty hard to see. Just searching for my lost humanity. I look for you, my friends, but do you look for me? Lately I'm not too afraid to die. I wanna leave
We begin today's show in Gaza, where we're joined by Rafat El-Arir. He's a Palestinian academic and activist, the editor of the book Gaza Writes Back, co-editor of Gaza Unsilenced.
What is happening in Gaza is complete and utter extermination of the non-Jewish population in occupied Palestine. As you mentioned, Israel ordered a medieval hermetic siege from air and sea. Israel has also just bombed the only way out through Egypt, the Rafah crossing. The only way out is what's happening, what we are foreseeing is slow starvation, slow genocide. Maybe Israel is going to push us all into the sea.
On Friday night, thousands of members of Jewish Voice for Peace, New York City, and their allies shut down the main terminal of Grand Central Station during rush hour. It's the largest sit-in protest the city's seen in over 2 decades.
Ceasefire now, ceasefire now, ceasefire now. My name is Rosalind Pacheski. I'm here with maybe 1,000 others, a lot of us Jews, but we are here to protest the genocide that is happening in our name. Free Palestine, stop the genocide. Free Palestine.
My name is Zohran Mamdani. I'm an assembly member for parts of Astoria and Long Island City, and I'm here today to join thousands of Jewish New Yorkers, rabbis, and allies to say that the time is now for an immediate ceasefire.
What does it mean to you that on this Shabbos, this Jewish Sabbath, thousands of Jews are here at Grand Central saying ceasefire now?
It shows that what we have been told about the consent for this genocide is not true. So many of the Jewish New Yorkers here are struggling through heartbreak and mourning of October 7th, and they have made it very clear that do not use their heartbreak, their tragedy, as the justification for the genocide of Palestinians.
Earlier this week, an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City killed the acclaimed Palestinian academic and activist Rafat El-Arir, along with his brother, his sister, and 4 of his nieces. For more, we're joined in Cairo, Egypt, by Mosab Abu Toha, Palestinian poet and author who was detained by Israeli authorities as he and his family fled Gaza.
Rifat is someone who didn't want to die, and in his poem, If I Must Die, he didn't say if I die, if I must die. If my death was a necessity, let it be a hope, let it be a tale, let it bring hope. And it's really very, very, very sympathetic and very, very beautiful to see that many people around the world are reading his poem and flying his kite.
If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings. Make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment, an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope.
And I believe that his only hope right now is that these kites will fly over Gaza to protect the children and mothers and fathers and everyone in Gaza from the Israeli airstrikes.
That was Mosab Abu Toha speaking on Democracy Now!, January 22nd, 2024. Over a year later, in May of 2025, Mosab won a Pulitzer Prize for commentary for his writings in the New Yorker magazine. He's the founder of the Edward Said Library, Edward Said, who we all so dearly miss. Edward Said Library is Gaza's first English language library. His most recent book, Mosab's, is Forest of Noise, a collection of poems about life in Gaza. His debut book of poetry, Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear, won an American Book Award. Mosab fled Gaza with his family in December of 2023 after he was detained by Israeli authorities for 2 days. He joins us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Democracy Now! Thank you, Amy, Nermeen, and Juan. I mean, these are very heartbreaking moments. There is no language that can describe my feelings listening to my dear friend Rifat. He's somewhere else better than this ugly world that we are trying, all of us, to survive. It was October 12th, 2023, when I had my interview with Amy. I was still in our house in Gaza. This house has been a heap of rubble since October 30th, 2023. Just 2 days after the interview I did with Amy on October 12th, Israel killed 30 members of my extended family, including my great uncle, Mosab Abu Toha, his wife, his children, the wives of his children, the grandchildren. The youngest was 4 years old. That same Khadr was the only one in my family who was interested in doing the family tree. And I ended up doing his family tree after he was killed. And that's something that I kept doing, unfortunately, to document the genocide that Israel perpetrated not only against Palestinians, but the Palestinian families. Israel has erased hundreds of families in Gaza, including some of my relatives, some of whom remain under the rubble even now. Under the rubble. She slept on her bed, never woke up again. Her bed has become her grave, a tomb beneath the ceiling of her room. The ceiling, a cenotaph. No name, no year of birth, no year of death, no epitaph. Only blood and a smashed picture frame and ruin next to her. In Jabalia camp, a mother collects her daughter's flesh in a piggy bank, hoping to buy her a plot on a river in a faraway land. A group of mute people were talking sign. When a bomb fell, they fell silent. It rained again last night. The new plant looked for an umbrella in the garage. The bombing got intense, and our house looked for a shelter in the neighborhood. I leave the door to my room open so the words in my books, the titles and names of authors and publishers could flee when they hear the bombs. I became homeless once, but the streets, the rubble of my city covered the streets. They could not find a stretcher to carry your body. They put you on a wooden door they found under the rubble. Your neighbors, a moving wall. The scars on our children's faces will look for you. Our children's amputated legs will run after you. He left the house to buy some bread for his kids. News of his death made it home, but not the bread. No bread. Death sits to eat whoever remains of the kids. No need for a table, no need for bread. A father wakes up at night, sees the random colors on the walls drawn by his 4-year-old daughter. The colors are about 4 feet high. Next year, they would be 5. But the painter has died in an airstrike. There are no colors anymore. There are no walls. I changed the order of my books on the shelves. 2 days later, the war broke out. Beware of changing the order of your books. What are you thinking? What thinking? What? You. Is there still you? You there? Where should people go? Should they build a big ladder and go up? but the heaven has been blocked by the drones and F-16s and the smoke of death. My son asks me whether when we return to Gaza, I could get him a puppy. I say, I promise, if we can find any. I ask my son if he wishes to become a pilot when he grows up. He says he won't wish to drop bombs on people and houses. When we die, our souls leave our bodies, take with them everything they loved in our bedrooms. The perfume bottles, the makeup, the necklaces, and the pens. In Gaza, our bodies and rooms get crushed. Nothing remains for the soul. Even our souls, they remain stuck under the rubble for weeks, now for years. For Gaza, for Rif'at al-Arir, for all our loved ones, those who were killed, those who are surviving in the streets in tents, for my 3 sisters who are in Gaza right now, for my beloved ones who remain under the rubble while we are speaking, for a free Palestine. يما مويل الهوى يما مويلية ضرب الخناجر ولا حكم الناذل فيا يما مويل الهوى يما مويلية ضرب الخناجر ولا حكم الناذل فيا ومشيت تحت الشتاء والشتاء رواني والصيف لما أتى شعل من نيراني بضل عمر الفتى نذر للحرية يما مويل الهوى يما مويلية ضرب الخناجر ولا حكم الناذل فيا يا ليل صح الندى يشهد على جراحي وانسى الجيش العيدا من كل النواحي والليل شاف الردى عم يتعلق فيا يما مويل الهوى يما مويلية ضرب الخناجر ولا حكم الناذل فيا. Thank you.
Very soon after I joined Democracy Now!, in a few months, if that, Amy asked, would you be interested in co-hosting the show?
From New York, this is Democracy Now!
And I thought, wow, I mean, yes, what an honor, and thank you so much. And she was like, okay, how about tomorrow? And I was like,
I'm Amy Goodman, joined by Democracy Now! Producer Nermeen Shaikh, who'll be co-hosting with me today. Welcome, Nermeen.
Thank you, Amy. In Libya, rebel forces say Muammar Gaddafi's...
I've never been in front of a camera. I've never read a prompter. Forget doing these things live. I felt completely terrified. But in the breaks, she said, you're doing a great job. And just relax. It's just like we're having a conversation. He was so good in the pre-interview. I thought this guy's going to be great on the show. The strength of Democracy Now! And also its singularity is speaking with people who have no platform. If you think of media as a frame, you are framing a story. The problem with a lot of the media is that so much is excluded from the frame. There's a kind of erasure. It's as though those people, people don't exist, right? So Democracy Now!, what we do is expand the frame so those things that are on its margins are allowed in.
Good evening, all. Thank you so much for coming and joining us to celebrate this momentous milestone, Democracy Now!'s 30th anniversary. And I'm so happy to say that half of those years, for 15 of these years, I've had the pleasure and honor to co-host the show with Amy Goodman. So I'll just say a few words now about what we aspire to do in our work. When thinking of our commitments, I'm recalled often to the writing of an Italian philosopher and political theorist, Giorgio Agamben, whom I've read for many years. In a beautiful text titled Nudities, he interprets a poem by the Soviet-Russian poet Osip Mandelstam, who died in 1938 during Stalin's purges. The poem is called The Century. In Russian, the word also means age or epoch. In his interpretation of the poem, Agamben writes of what it means to see one's own age. Quote, "The contemporary is he who firmly holds his gaze on his own time so as to perceive not its light, but rather its darkness." What distinguishes Democracy Now! Is its attempt to decipher this darkness, to make it plain for all to see, even or especially those for whom only the light is visible. We do this in part by providing a platform for voices that are otherwise silenced or disregarded in the media, considered peripheral to the world as it is, the world as it must continue to be, according to those wielding the power to determine its shape. But these voices very much exist, these voices cry out, and Democracy Now! Is dedicated to allowing those cries to be heard, no matter how dark, no matter how unbearable, recognizing each voice for its intrinsic worth, its singularity, not just one more voice lost or effaced among the many. We are attentive here to the lessons of the 1960s French social theorist Guy Debord, whose words were virtually prophetic. His was one of the most acute observations of the violence produced by the present domination of mass media. Debord condemned what he termed the society of the spectacle, arguing that it works principally as a means of justifying the conditions of the dominant order. Our task at Democracy Now!, our task as participants in the making and consuming of images and information, our task is to work against such justification, and even more, to use the spectacle to serve the casualties of this order and not its beneficiaries. Parenthetically, and related to the spectacle, this is a very trivial point, but I think nevertheless symptomatic. Many over the years have commented on the fact that I rarely, if ever, smile on the show, which of course is true. But this has always struck me as a rather odd remark, not because I don't like smiling or indeed even love laughing, but what would it mean to appear even slightly in good humor, if not positively complacent, when discussing war, starvation, poverty, or this administration's ceaseless and blatant criminality? What kind of gesture is a smile, and what kind of smile could accompany this speech without appearing monstrous? As an aside, someone once told me we should rename Democracy Now! Depress Me Now. In that instance, it was impossible not to laugh. We're living irrefutably, if perhaps in some instances not irreversibly, in a time of multiplying and accelerating crises. To name only the most obvious and the most proximate, the slow and now rapid transformation of this country into a more brutal, more unforgiving, and more exclusionary polity and society, the scale of which, as we witness it, is literally unfathomable. The cruelty of the current administration is everywhere in evidence. It would take the remainder of this evening, and indeed well beyond it, to rehearse the litany of horrors to which we're daily confronted. What then is our orientation, our vision, as this administration continues unleashing its violence both within and without the borders of this country? What possibilities exist as we report on what appears an imminent threat of world war, and crucially of those suffering in its midst, of course in Iran, but also elsewhere? Or when we speak of the calamitous and ongoing lethal effects on the world's very poorest, of the staggering cuts in US aid, or as we tell the stories of those brutalized while protesting ICE, or the stories of the tens of millions enduring merciless wars from Palestine to Ukraine to the DRC and Sudan, the latter African countries, to our collective shame, almost totally absent from the public sphere. The only gesture, of course, the only gesture possible, of course, is resistance. A resistance whose source and agency must find expression in the media. This is where the question of hope, too, arises. As an Iranian writer recently wrote, citing Walter Benjamin, quote, "It is only for the sake of those without hope that hope is given to us." So indeed, what kind of hope is possible? A hope not directed at the self, not necessitated by the desire to free oneself of fear or apprehension, not given over to sentimentality or an empty optimism. Here I'll turn to an interview with the most recent recipient of the Nobel Prize for Literature, Laszlo Krasznahorkai, who said, quote, "We can only delude ourselves with the future. Hope always belongs to the future, and the future never arrives. It is always just about to come," end quote. It is for this indeterminate future where hope belongs that one must resist. And it is our ethical political responsibility in the media to ensure that such acts of resistance are not erased, but rather made universally and intimately known through our telling, through amplifying the voices of those who act in the service of this indeterminate future to come where hope lies. This is at Democracy Now!, under Amy's guidance and with her remarkable imagination. This at Democracy Now! Remains our enduring commitment. And finally, to end where I began, but this time in the words of the German Jewish political philosopher Hannah Arendt, who wrote, quote, "Even in the darkest of times, we have the right to expect some illumination, and that such illumination may well come from the uncertain, flickering, and often weak light that some men and women in their lives and their works will kindle under almost all circumstances," end quote. It is to this injunction above all that Democracy Now! Remains true. And if there is hope, it is that in this moment and in an indeterminate future, there will be more such means and more people through which to tell their stories and the stories of those for whom they provided even the weakest light. Thank you.
I'm lucky enough working with Nermeen for 15 years to get to see her smile all the time. Okay, outside of that daily hour. Oh, it is my honor to bring up on the stage Michael Stipe, the singer, songwriter, artist, and activist. But before I do, I have a little admission. It was 1992, and I was in Boston along with my colleague, journalist Alan Nairn. This is a story that is featured in this new documentary that we're going to be playing excerpts of, Steal the Story, Please, that you'll get to see in the next month. But it's one of the stories we've covered for decades, since Indonesia invaded East Timor in 1975, killed off a third of the population until the people of East Timor were able to vote for their freedom. And ultimately, East Timor became one of the newest nations in the world. And in 1991, my colleague Alan Nairn and I survived a massacre that more than 270 Timorese did not. They were gunned down in one day at a Catholic ceremony. When we came back to the United States, we continually covered this, and I'd cover it as Democracy Now! Got established. But the Reebok Human Rights Awards the following year were honoring 4 activists, and one of them was a young Timorese man named Fernando Daraujo, who interestingly was being held in an Indonesian jail. Reebok made a killing off of its sneaker company in Indonesia, but it was honoring this young man who was in Indonesian jail, but he couldn't come to the award ceremony in Boston. And so they invited Alan Nairn and I to come to describe the conditions that he faced. It was an amazing ceremony, and there was this luncheon at the Four Seasons Hotel. And I went in, and oh my God, there was Richie Havens. I thought, I'm gonna have lunch with him, and so I raced over, but just as I was sitting down, this guy sat down between us. So I said to him, oh, what's your name? And he said, oh, my name is Michael Stipe. And I said, oh, are you Richie's assistant? And he said, no, but I love his music. And I said, what do you do? And he said, oh, I have a band myself. And I said, oh, that's so cute. What's it called? And he said, oh, we call it REM. And I said, oh, you don't have to spell it, REM? And he said, actually, we prefer the initials, REM. So the ceremony went on, and all sorts of people were there, like Yo-Yo Ma and Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead. And when we went home, I got a big box in the mail from Athens, Georgia. And it was from this guy named Michael. Well, when I called my brother Dan, who's here today, from the ceremony, I said, you want to come? He said, I might, make it. And he said, who's there? I said, I don't know, there's all sorts of people. I sat next to this guy named Michael Stipe or something. He said, Michael Stipe, I'll be there in 2 minutes. So I got this big box in the mail from Michael, and it had a whole bunch of his CDs, and he wrote something like, Dear Amy, our band actually decided to record some of our songs, and I thought you might enjoy them. Okay, so this was 1992. It was, the blockbuster album, Out of Time. It sold something like 18 million copies already worldwide, hit the top charts in the US and the UK. It was Losing My Religion and all of that. Okay, so I've just said too much. But, so Michael's gonna join us, humble man that he is, and Aaron Dessner, Grammy Award-winning musician and producer, founding member of the National and a close collaborator with Taylor Swift. He co-produced 3 of her albums, Folklore Evermore, and the Tortured Poets Department. They're singing No Time for Love Like Now. Oh, and Michael, thanks for the hat with the CDs.
Thank you, Amy. This evening feels like a clarion call, a voice of courage, of optimism, and resilience, and community in the midst of system collapse. We are honored to be here and to be a part of this community. Thank you. No time for breezy, no time for arguments. There's no time for love like now. There's no time in the bardo, no time in the in-between, no time for love like now. Where did this all begin to change? The lockdown memories can't sustain this glistening, hanging free fall. I turned away from the glorious light. I turned my head and cried. Whatever waiting means in this new place, I am waiting for you. There's no time for dancing, no time for undecided, no time for love like now. There's no time for honey, no time for psalms and thresholds, whisper a sweet prayer sigh. Where did this all begin to change? The lockdown memories can't sustain this glistening, hanging free fall. I turned away from the glorious light. I turned my head and cried. Whatever waiting means in this new place, I am waiting for you. Your voice is echoing love, 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 love. I hear it far, far away. And I am waiting for you. Yes, I am waiting for you. Whatever waiting means in this new place, I am waiting for you. Yes, I am waiting for you. I am waiting for you. Thank you.
Nicole and I were at the TV station where Democracy Now! Was based during the convention. And we looked out the window and saw the massive phalanx of police in riot gear walking down the streets.
Sharif, get the passes. Get my press pass. Something's happening. Ooh.
You're fucking 18, the Associated Press. Relax. Get out of here! Get out of here!
Judy, can't see!
Press! Get down on your face! On your face! Get down on your face! Ow! On your back! Get on the press! Get on it!
The police very violently arrested Nicole, and then they beat me up and arrested me. And then, God bless her, Amy came.
Accredited journalist!
Where's the reporters?
Riff is right there.
Ma'am,
release the accredited journalist now!
From the convention
floor. You are violating my constitutional rights. You are violating now.
Sir, I want to talk to you.
Arrest her.
Do not arrest me.
You're right, sir.
Do not arrest me.
Hold right there. He's under arrest. Stay right there. Back up. Let go. Release that accredited journalist.
Hey, Max, we just arrested Amy Goodman, Nicole Salazar, and Sharif Abdul-Qudus.
And I also want to thank Nicole Salazar and Sharif Abdul-Qudus, who are in the audience today, for doing such excellent coverage. And also, one of the people who was shouting there, my colleague Dennis Moynihan, with us from almost the beginning of Democracy Now!, shouting, "You're arresting journalists, stop arresting those journalists." Oh, by the way, coming up we have, Patti Smith is going to be joining us with, I can't wait. And we also are going to have a special guest, but we'll talk about that in a little while. Right now, to say the least, we have a very, very special guest. We thought it would be appropriate to play some arrest footage before we introduced her, but we are talking about one Angela Davis. And for those who were not born yet I'll just say who aren't born yet, I wanted to introduce Angela, the renowned activist and author, scholar, professor emerita at the University of California, Santa Cruz. She is the author of many books, including Freedom is a Constant Struggle, Ferguson, Palestine, and the Foundations of a Movement. Her other books include Are Prisons Obsolete? And Women, Race, and Class. Her 1974 autobiography was edited by the late, great Toni Morrison. Angela Davis grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, in a neighborhood known as Dynamite Hill because the Ku Klux Klan repeatedly bombed the area. Angela, it is such an honor to be with you tonight.
Well, congratulations, Amy, Nermeen, and Juan, on the occasion of the 30th, can you believe it, 30th anniversary of Democracy Now! You know, I was thinking that it was really only maybe about 10 years ago when we met for the first time, but it's been 30 years.
Well, why don't we start there? Start where you grew up. Start in Birmingham, Alabama, and what it meant to grow up in Dynamite Hill, and then take us on a short trajectory of your remarkable life.
Really? Well, you know, that was over 80 years ago. And I don't know whether I can compress these last 80 years into 3 minutes.
Who said anything
or so.
about compressing?
Well, I see the timekeeper right in front of us. But it's really wonderful to be here. And let me also thank, you know, all of you for coming out to celebrate 30 years of Democracy Now! Without Democracy Now!, I do not know where we would be today. You know, I can remember when we felt unseen and unacknowledged, when we had no legitimate place or space in the established media. And so before I say anything else, I just really want to say thank you on behalf of all of the progressive and radical movements in this country and the world. Okay, Amy, I was born in 1944 in Birmingham, Alabama, at a time when the government of the city and of the state were literally in the hands of the Ku Klux Klan. You know, I often point out that some of my earliest memories are of hearing the sound of dynamite, because when my family moved into that area, Black people were allowed to live on one side of the street, Center Street, which was the dividing line, but not on the other side. And you know, one of the stories I never tire of telling is that as kids, we knew that a Ku Klux Klansman lived right across the street from us. And we knew that we were not allowed to cross that street. Black people weren't allowed to cross that street unless they worked for white people in the neighborhood. And so, you know, sometimes instead of playing hide and go seek, or, you know, all of the other children's games that we used to play, we used to dare each other to run across the street. And if you were, you know, really courageous, you would not only run across the street, you would run up the steps of the Klansman's house and ring the doorbell and try to make it back across the street before they came to answer. So, I mean, I say that because I know the theme of this evening is resistance. And you know, and as I see Palestinian children throwing rocks at the Israeli military, I realize that, you know, in some communities, resistance is the only possibility of living a life of significance. And so children learn resistance even before they fully understand what that means. They even learn to enjoy resistance and to have fun engaging in those games. So yeah, that in short was my childhood.
So, Professor Davis, you're obviously a leading icon and symbol of resistance and protest, not only here in the US, but also in many parts of the world. So to elaborate on this question of resistance, indeed that is the theme for the evening, you said in an interview recently that you used to have a, quote, intransigent notion of what constitutes resistance, but that you came to see that we are here today precisely because, this is a quote from you, because of large acts of resistance and small acts of resistance. And you said, I believe we need organized resistance and the forms of resistance that become practices in our daily lives. So if you could elaborate on that and where you see instances of that today.
Thank you, Nermeen. I can't actually I mean, I'm sure I said that.
That's a problem with giving too many interviews.
We've never misquoted anyone, Angela.
I mean, I'm sure I said that, and I'm sure I was thinking about the fact that, you know, in my own life, and I'm sure my life reflects that of many others who've grown up as activists in progressive and radical movements in this country. But I think I was referring to the fact that I only really took seriously at a certain point early on the sort of major forms of resistance, what we you know, what John Berger called the rehearsals for revolution, the massive protests, the huge marches where we are able not only to make our voices heard, but where we also experience the camaraderie with others, where we become absolutely persuaded that we will usher in possibilities of a better world. And we need those moments. But I think we also need the small acts of resistance. And, you know, one of the things I've been doing in the last couple of years, well, I can't believe it's been a couple of years, is not drinking out of plastic bottles. And it's, you know, it's not that one person not drinking out of plastic is going to accomplish anything at all, but it's about becoming aware of the fact that capitalism depends on our habits. Capitalism depends on us not taking seriously the habits that we acquire that help to in the instance of drinking out of single-use plastic, destroy the earth. And many of us know that that is happening. We know that there is so much plastic in the ocean. and that there are microplastics in animals, there are microplastics in our own bodies. Yet we still drink out of plastic. And I think I was on vacation in Martha's Vineyard a couple of years ago, and I saw some hermit crabs walking around on the beach with pieces of plastic bottles. You know, the hermit crabs, they use shells from, other shellfish. And they were using the plastic as their shells, as their houses. And so that's like a small act, but it's so hard because, if I'm speaking someplace, I said, please don't give me a plastic, water in a plastic bottle. So sometimes I say, oh, okay, well, we'll just pour it into a cup. And so I think that there are those small things that are so important. And if we can change those habits, maybe we can create a better world. But we still need the sort of grand forms of resistance as well. It's not an either or.
Angela, I'd like to ask you about those grand forms of resistance. We were politically formed during the same period of time, and you first became to national fame or national or international notoriety as a member of the Black Panther Party. And I'm wondering if you could share, especially for the young people here, what drew you to revolutionary struggle, to the Panther Party, and what kinds of lessons, good and bad, have you drawn from that experience that might help other folks who are organizing resistance and seeking to build a better world today?
Well, I think I've been, it's a long story, but I guess I'll say that, when I was growing up in Birmingham, Amy asked me that first question. What I didn't say was that my mother was a member of a radical organization at that time, which was called the Southern Negro Youth Congress. And it was an organization that was founded by Black members of the Communist Party. And as a matter of fact, my mother met my father recruiting guys, because this was the nature of the military at that time, to go fight fascism in Europe, fight fascism abroad, and fight racism at home. So if any of you know the Double V campaign, any of you know the Double V campaign? Okay, I guess, Juan, our generation is not as well represented. So anyway, I eventually did join the Communist Party myself, but I also joined the Black Panther Party, and I also joined SNCC, and I also joined, I could give you the names of many organizations I've joined. I think I've always been connected with some kind of collective. And I suppose I would say that is because it became clear that despite the individualism that is promoted, and especially in relation to and by capitalism, that nothing that we do as individuals is ever going to really make a major difference. We always have to be connected with community. And so when the Black Panther Party was organizing in Los Angeles for the very first time, I was, as a matter of fact, teaching at UCLA, and I asked, well, how can I be of assistance? What can I do? So I began to work with the political education program that John Huggins, Erica Huggins' husband at the time, was working on. So John and I worked on political education for the Black Panther Party until he was killed at UCLA. And it's a long and very complicated story. But the fact is that I think I've always felt more comfortable in environments where I could resist, where I could say no, and not be by myself saying no. Being with others who recognize that we need a different kind of world, a world without racism, a world without heteropatriarchy, a world without economic exploitation, a world without colonialism, a world without genocide. And the only way to do that is together.
So, Professor Davis, we're speaking today in this historic Riverside Church, the site of Martin Luther King's anti-Vietnam War speech. Could you give us a sense, your reflections on what that moment was, the kinds of precisely resistance movements that you were part of then, and where we stand now, in particular as we're confronting another horrifying war?
I think it's really important to feel the history in this church, and to remember that when Dr. King gave that amazing speech, when Dr. King, thank you, I know we have 1 minute left. When Dr. King gave that incredible speech, I would say most people wondered why he was talking about Vietnam. I actually had the opportunity during that very same period to hear him in Birmingham, Alabama. And he spoke in Birmingham about Vietnam. And I was very disturbed that many of my neighbors and people that I knew in Birmingham were a little confused about, why was he talking about Vietnam? What did that have to do with ending racism? And so Dr. King always talked about the indivisibility of justice. And I think it's a lesson that we need to share over and over and over again. All of our progressive, radical struggles are interconnected. As a matter of fact, absolutely. And what is so exciting about this moment is that we've struggled so long for Palestine solidarity to be a part of the larger social justice agenda in this country. And for so long, it appeared as if Zionism was so powerful that we would never achieve that goal. And so people who worked around issues of Palestine solidarity had to do it in a kind of marginalized fashion, not in connection with what we consider to be the main issues of social justice. But I can say now that I am really thankful that I've managed to live as long as I have. Because I also see myself as a witness for all of those who struggle for Palestine, and Palestine in connection with feminism, Palestine in connection with the struggle against racism, Palestine in relation to our anti-war movements, all of those struggles, and I'm thinking about June Jordan, for example. Well, we should never forget that despite how depressed many of us feel about this moment, despite the fact that we have, somebody in the White House who I'm just going to stop there. I'm just going to say who, because I know we don't have any time to talk about that, but we all know what we're referring to. All of the work over the last decades and decades, it has made a difference. And I think it will allow us to recognize that even though we may not see the immediate consequences of the work that we're doing now, if we continue to insist on what we know is right, and we know that genocide is wrong, and we know that the Palestinian people have been an inspiration to people all over the world, including here in this country. I'm so impressed. Every time I go into a circle that is primarily concerned with Black liberation, there is always the question of Palestine that comes up everywhere. And just recently I traveled to Jackson, Mississippi, and I participated in an event that was sponsored by Mississippi for a Just World, and the theme of that event was solidarity with the Palestinian people in Jackson, Mississippi. And so I guess, what I want to say is that we also have some reason to celebrate. Even as we mourn, and even as we witness the worst forms of destruction, if we can see ourselves as larger than we actually are. And that is why we need a community. That is why we need to come together. That is why we need democracy now, because democracy now helps us to build that community.
Well, Angela Davis, we thank you so much for joining us for this 30th anniversary celebration.
And congratulations to Democracy Now!
Well, you know, this event was supposed to take place on February 23rd. That would have been 4 days after our actual 30th anniversary. But then there was this bomb cyclone, right? Intensification of climate catastrophes that we have to be extremely serious about, which is why Democracy Now! Every year covers the UN Climate Summit, not because something gets accomplished there, wherever it is somewhere in the world, but because of the focus on climate. As Angela talked about, the intersectionality of all politics. But there was a silver lining to that cancellation, because someone that was with us on the 20th anniversary of Democracy Now! Could not be with us on February 23rd. But now that it's March 23rd, I have the enormous pleasure to introduce our next guest. A special guest is coming later. This is also an extremely special guest who I can name at this moment, Patti Smith. Singer, songwriter, poet, author, widely known as the grandmother of punk. She recently celebrated the 50th anniversary of her landmark debut album, Horses. Her latest book is the memoir, Bread of Angels, and if we could be here for longer tonight, I was going to insist on doing an interview with her, but we'll just have to have the interview be on Democracy Now! In November, Patti Smith won the National Book Award for poetry for her collection, The Intentions of Thunder, New and Selected Poems. In 2010, she won the National Book Award for nonfiction for her memoir, Just Kids. This is Patti's, as we talked about Angela turning 82, this is Patti's 80th birthday year. And we want to welcome Patti Smith, her daughter Jessie Smith, and Tony Shanahan to the stage.
Hello, everybody, and happy 30th anniversary, Amy and Democracy Now! Let's get my glasses. Don't forget it. I'm going to read a little passage from Bread of Angels while Tony's tuning up. Will I distract you? No. On October 26, 2002, International Answer organized a protest of the planned attack on Iraq by the Bush administration in Washington, D.C. We performed People of the Power. I looked out, and an estimated 200,000 people gathered from all over the country, looking back from the Constitution Gardens near the Vietnam War Memorial. The mall was carpeted with people calling for peace, chanting "No war." We met again in January, performing again in the freezing cold and joining forces with Reverend Jesse Jackson. On February, blessings upon him. On February 15th, the largest global anti-war protest in history was waged. In England alone, nearly 1 million protested. In Italy, a staggering 3 million. I marched in Paris in the Palestinian section, and they gave me a flag. Sadly, the collective voice of the people was not heeded. On March 16, 2003, Rachel Corrie, a young nonviolence activist, was protesting the Israeli demolition of homes in the Gaza Strip. Bulldozers had already destroyed surrounding houses in Rafah, where she was based. They targeted the family home of Professor Nasrallah, where she was staying. Corrie, wearing an orange vest, bullhorn in hand, called for them to cease. She stood on a raised mound in the path of an Israeli bulldozer, but it kept going. Her fellow activists cried out, and the Nasrallah children watched in horror as she was crushed to death. The loss of Corrie, a bright, altruistic force, just 2 years older than my own son, haunted me. At the same time, on the first day of spring, it was obvious that all the marches, pleas, and protests of millions of people worldwide were not going to halt the Bush administration's plan to attack Baghdad. That was 23 years ago, when Tony Shanahan and I wrote the song. We wrote it to comfort the family of Rachel Corrie and to send a small message of hope to the Palestinian people. Yesterday I saw you standing there with your hands against the pane, looking out the window at the rain. And I wanted to tell you all your tears were not in vain, but I guess we both knew we'd never be the same, never be the same. Why must we hide all these feelings inside? Lions and lambs shall abide. Maybe one day we'll be strong enough peaceable kingdom back again. Build it back again. Why must we hide all these feelings inside? Lions and lambs shall abide. Maybe one day we'll be strong enough to build it back again. Build the peaceable kingdom back again. Maybe one day we'll be strong enough. We can build it back again. Build the peaceable kingdom. Build it back again. Build the peaceable kingdom. Build it back again. I was dreaming, in my dreaming, of an aspect bright and fair, and my sleeping, it was broken, but my dream, it lingered near, in the farm of shining valleys, where the pure air rarefied, and my senses newly opened, 'cause I awakened to the cry that the people have the power to redeem the work of fools upon the meek. The graces shower, it's decreed, the people rule. Thank you, Jesse Paris Smith, Tony Shanahan. Thank you.
It's Election Day 2000. This is the presidential race between George W. Bush and Al Gore. We got a call. I thought they said the White Horse calling. That's a historic bar in Greenwich Village where Dylan Thomas drank himself to death. And they said, the president would like to speak to you. I said, the president of what? And they said, the president of the United States. Oh, the White House, not the White Horse. So we go running into Master Control, and it's an alternative Latino music show. Gonzalo Alberto is at the controls. You hear salsa music loud, and underneath it all, President Clinton is saying, hello, hello, is anyone there? Mr. President, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
You're calling radio stations to tell people to get out and vote. What do you say to people who feel that the two parties are bought by corporations and that their vote doesn't make a difference?
There's not a shred of evidence to support that. That's what I would say. It's true that both parties have wealthy supporters, but
It was very interesting talking to the leader of the free world.
Clinton, Amnesty International has described what the Israeli forces are now doing in the occupied territories as...
Listen, I can't do a whole press conference here. It's election day, and I've got a lot of people and places to call.
Well, I guess these are the questions that are very important to our listeners.
Now, let me just say on the Israeli-Palestinian thing, the only answer is an agreement that covers all the issues that the Palestinians feel aggrieved by, guarantees the Israelis' security and acceptance within the region, and is a just and lasting peace.
He was animated, he was angry, he was forceful, and he was staying on the phone.
Many people say that you've been responsible for taking the Democratic Party to the right.
What is the measure of taking the Democratic Party to the right? That we cut the welfare rolls in half? That we have the lowest African-American, the lowest Latino unemployment rate in the history? Now, let me just finish.
Let me just say...
Now, wait a minute. You started this, and every question you've asked has been hostile and combative. So you listen to my answer. Will you do that?
They've been critical.
Now, you just listen to me. You have asked questions in a hostile, combative, and even disrespectful tone, and you have never been able to combat the facts I have given you. People can say whatever they want to. Those are the facts.
What people say is that you push through NAFTA, that we have the highest population of prisoners in the industrialized world, that more people are in death row in this country than anywhere else, and that people are...
Well, all right, now, I disagree. I think NAFTA has been good for America. Now, I've talked to you a long time. It's election day. There are a lot of other people in America, and I've got to go.
Thank you for spending the time, President.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Hasta la vista.
President Clinton.
I go into my office, and I get a furious call. You broke all the ground rules, and they were weighing whether to ban me from the White House. I said, what are you talking about? He called me. I didn't call him. We told you he had a few minutes. You kept him on the phone for more than half an hour. I said, he's the leader of the free world. He could hang up if he wanted to. Did no one ask questions outside getting out the vote? And they said, no one did.
Hi, everyone. I'm V, formerly Eve Ensler. Hello, all my beautiful, radical, revolutionary siblings. I am so honored to be here tonight. I look out at the sea of these incredible, stunning, activated, radical, life-giving people, and I feel so much gratitude and emotion to be in the swell of this beloved community at a time of so much cruelty, so much pain, war, genocide, oppression. We need each other now more than ever, and we need to encourage and lift each other. So indulge me as I take a moment tonight to publicly love Amy, Nermeen, Juan, and all the credible and folks behind the scene at Democracy Now! Let's see it as praxis, that we lift each other and recognize each other and honor each other, because we are all we have. On maybe my first show with Amy on Democracy Now!, she pulled out a piece I had written from The Guardian, and she asked me to read it out loud on the spot. It was shocking and thrilling to be asked by a newscaster to give voice to something I had written on the page. It felt so different than any other news station I'd ever been on. There was, first of all, human connection. There was time to tell a story. There was Amy sitting across, beaming at me, encouraging me, truly interested in what I was saying and how I was saying it. She had, in that moment, made a place for me, right there, a home, a belonging. And I know, looking at the size of this auditorium tonight, that many of you have had that same experience, either being on Democracy Now! Or watching it. We belong to Amy and Juan and Nermeen as they belong to us. Amy Goodman is always there. She is the pilot light for the left. She's our conduit and our container, our comrade and our curator. What does it mean to be there? To never stop, to devote your life to one thing, reporting the news, the real news that the mainstream corporate media refuses to share. Telling the stories that broaden and deeper coalitions, save lives, give voice to frontline activists and academics who deepen our understanding and by doing so empower our resistance. And there is always music. To be there and not be there. To disappear into the story, into the listening, into the platforming, into the telling, so that the focus is never on Amy or Nermeen or Juan, but on the injustice, the outrage, the people who never get to tell their own story, but are telling it because Amy is there, not in their way. Amy is made of multitudes, some cosmic qualities of grit, determination, and a love of the people so huge and profound it defies war zones and pandemics. I watched Amy during COVID to go from her apartment to the studio, to walk Zazu, to go home, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. She never took off her mask and she never got sick one day. She's a national treasure. She's riding a current of inner devotion, a light and energy born of her need to get to the bottom of what is really going on so that the people may be free or fed or seen or celebrated. When legacy media is capitulating to authoritarian leads and networks are censoring content bending to the will of fascists and corporate theatrics, i.e. Barry Weiss oodling Erica Kirk, Amy and Democracy Now! March on. Steadfast in purpose, no scandals, no capitulation. That is no small thing. You can't buy her off. We trust Amy and Juan and Nermeen because they are not above us. They are not celebrities preaching at us from some neoliberal distance, but instead they have worn themselves into the fabric and struggle of our lives. Leonard Cohen wrote a beautiful poem on reading poetry, and it always makes me think about Amy. And I want to close with this excerpt. What is the expression which the age demands? The age demands no expression whatever. We have seen the photographs of betrayed Asian mothers. There is nothing you can show on your face that can match the horror of this time. Do not even try. You are playing to people who have experienced a catastrophe. Speak the words, convey the data, step aside. The bomb and flamethrowers and all the shit have destroyed more than the trees and villages. They have also destroyed the stage. Did you think your profession would escape the general destruction? There is no more stage. There are no more footlights. You are among the people. Then be modest. Speak the words. Convey the data. Step aside. Avoid the flourish. Do not be afraid to be weak. Do not be ashamed to be tired. You look good when you're tired. You look like you could go on forever. Now come into my arms. You are the image of my beauty. Amy, you are the image of our beauty. Nermeen and Juan and everyone at Democracy Now!, you hold us and you lift us and you reveal us and you are us. I bow to your humility, your humanity, your radical consistency, your devotion, your kindness, and thank you for these 30 glorious years. We need you now more than ever. So please tonight, everyone, you will see the QR codes on your cards. Give everything you can because they have got to keep going. Free Palestine, purge the pedagogues, end the wars, and fuck ICE. I love you.
Hi, I'm Karen Ranucci, one of the producers, along with Diana Cohen and Karen Sprook, who are here in the house tonight, of this extraordinary film, Steal This Story, Please. And these are the Academy Award nominated, Emmy-winning, incredible duo, Tia Lesson and Carl Deal, who directed and produced this film. Our film follows Amy and the Democracy Now! Team telling the story of journalism's power and peril in an era of corporate media consolidation and political attacks on truth. Since screening at the Telluride Film Festival, this film has had an incredible run. We've won 8 audience awards, among other awards. People laugh, they cry, they laugh some more, and then they're up on their feet. A documentary, people on their feet at the end in a standing ovation, and they leave inspired. And they tell us, if she can do it, I can stand up too. Their reaction is a testament to the importance of Amy's voice and her story in this moment.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen, for inviting Tia and I on this grand adventure. And thank you, Amy, for saying yes. And thank you, we immersed ourselves in 30 years of Democracy Now! And so we got to know a lot of the staff and journalists, and there are hundreds and hundreds of people who are responsible for what we see every day. And, they're practicing a kind of truth-telling that is an example and a model for the rest of the world. And they couldn't do it without you guys, without the audience, because that's who Democracy Now! Is accountable to. So thank you to everybody who's been a part of this incredible institution. I want to say that making this film was a privilege, and you've seen some excerpts of it here tonight, but on April 10th here in New York, it's going to be released in theaters, so you can see the whole thing. It's also going to roll out in theaters all across the country. Now this, like Democracy Now!, is an independent production. We don't take money from the government. We don't take money from corporations. And what we rely on is the audience to come out and spread the word, not just about the film, about Amy Goodman, about Democracy Now! And so when it opens in 3 weeks from now in New York City, and you can go to our website, stealthisstory.org, and find out where it's playing in other places. You can follow us on Instagram at Steal This Story, and help us spread the word. Because if we perform well in New York this weekend, it's going to go all over the country. Many, many more theaters are going to book it. We're in 50 theaters, or 50 cities right now, and we want Amy Goodman to become a household name. So help us out with that endeavor, please.
And in New York, it's going to be at the IFC Center down in Greenwich Village. We're thrilled that Amy will be joining us on the road for sneak previews and opening weekends in select cities. And we're also excited that in the wake of the Trump administration's elimination of funding for public media, community stations are hosting fundraisers alongside the release of the film in their cities. And so KPFK in LA, KPFT in Houston, KBOO in Portland, KPFW in Washington, DC, KCBS in Seattle, and many, many others. And WBAI in New York. Come join those fundraisers to rally support, to shore up support for their vital work. Amy took us on a journey from her earliest days as a fledgling reporter for her brother's family newspaper to the powerhouse journalist we know today. And along the way, we got to know a side of her that might surprise you. Irreverent, mischievous, with perfect comedic timing, and a twinkle in her eye. The questions that Amy and Juan and Nermeen have been asking for decades couldn't be more serious. And their work documenting war and justice and abuses of power and also the resistance movements that rise in response couldn't be more urgent or more necessary. Thank you so much.
I just want to say, if you go to the IFC website and it says sold out, don't worry, they're going to keep adding it as long as you guys keep going. So help us spread the word.
And here's the trailer.
Hi, I'm Amy Goodman from Democracy Now!
Right.
Can you tell us what you think about President Trump saying climate change is a Chinese hoax?
I'm sorry, I'm running late for a meeting. Thanks.
Right, but you weren't running late when you were just standing there, so.
My first impressions of Amy.
What did you say to those who say that you're a war criminal?
Man, she doesn't care what anybody thinks.
Don't push me. I'm a journalist here. Independent media is the oxygen of a democracy.
What do you mean by independent?
Not being sponsored by corporations.
Amy's chaotically brilliant at the spy game.
We began on 9 radio stations.
If she believes something, she's going to fight for it and get it out to the world. Straight up journalism.
It came from my Jewish education that you ask questions.
Sharif, can you talk about what's happened on the Gaza Strip?
From Ground Zero from East Timor, as we deplane in Haiti, from Georgia's death row prison.
We had to smuggle in our recording equipment. This was extremely dangerous. We're accusing a powerful American corporation of murder.
Without any warning, the military opened fire on the protesters. They put the guns to our heads. It is critical that we expose what is done in our name. Donald Trump understood corporate owners of the media would do anything for money.
She taught me, speak to the people at the target end of the bomb, speak to those who are being deliberately silenced.
When you hear someone speak, it's less likely you'll want to destroy them.
We expand the frame and center those voices.
There is a great force that would like to silence us.
The press is the enemy of the people.
We're not tolerating fake news no more. And we're not going to let it happen.
We are thrilled that the film is opening up here in New York, and our first fundraiser will be for WBAI in New York City. You know, Democracy Now! Is all of you and a group of a brain trust of amazing producers and journalists and staff who are deeply committed to independent media. And I couldn't end this night by, okay, you get used to me saying this very quickly, almost like a song at the end of the show. But Democracy Now! Produced with Mike Birkin, Dina Guzder, and Messiah Rhodes, and Nermeen Shaikh, and Maria Taracena, and Nicole Salazar, and Sarah Nasser, and Sharina Nadura, and Sam Malkoff, and Tamery Astudio, and John Hamilton, and Robbie Karen. We hope you feel better, Robbie. And Hani Massoud, our executive director, is the inimitable Julie Crosby. Special thanks to Becca Staley, and John Randolph, and Paul Powell, and Mike DeFilippo, Miguel Noguera, Hugh Grant, Karl Marx, and Dennis Moynihan, David Prue, Dennis McCormick, Maddie Eliana Osbeck, Emily Anderson, Dante Torrieri, Buffy St. Maria Hernandez, Brendan Allen, Neil Shabata, Angie Karen, Ishmael Darrow, Christine Marr, Amba Gergeranian, and Diego Ramos, Safwat Nazal, Hannah Elias, Laura Bastillo, Adriano Contreras, our Democracy Now! In Espanol team, Claudia Ibarra, Igor Moreno, Ivan Hincapié, and our amazing Democracy Now! Development and administrative staff, Jeff Stout, Yusra Rizuki, Nicole Schonitzer, Emily Goslin, Teresa Siniak, Ali Tutich, Isis Phillips, Diana Para, Jackie Sam, Rog Young, and to our DNA, the Democracy Now! Alum. You can never leave Democracy Now!, really. Who are here tonight, our first producer, Julie Drizzen and Dan Coughlin, David Love and Maria Carrion, Sharifa Bokadus and Yoruba Richin and Hisuku, and so many others. And we couldn't think of a way to end tonight. But then I saw someone in the audience, and I realized this is how we give thanks. Let's bring on the boss, Bruce Springsteen!
Happy anniversary, Democracy Now! Happy anniversary. And it's so wonderful to be here. And happy birthday, Patty. Past winter, the federal troops brought death and terror to the streets of Minneapolis. They picked the wrong city. Because the power and the solidarity of the people of Minneapolis was an inspiration to the entire country. Their strength and their commitment told us that this is still America. And the reactionary nightmare and the invasion of an American city will not stand. Their strength gave us hope, they gave us courage, and for those who gave their lives, Renee Good, mother of 3, brutally murdered, Alex Preddy, BA nurse, executed, shot in the back by ICE in the street, left to die. Their bravery, their sacrifice, and their names will not be forgotten. This is Streets of Minneapolis. Through the winter's ice and cold, down Nicollet Avenue, city aflame fought fire and ice, neath an occupier's boots. King Trump's private army from the DHS, guns belted to their coats, came to Minneapolis to enforce the law, or so their story goes. Against smoke and rubber bullets, well, by the dawn's early light, citizens stood for justice, their voices ringing through the night. And there were bloody footprints where mercy should have stood. 2 dead left to die on snow-filled streets, Alex Pretty and Renee Good. Oh, in Minneapolis, I hear your voice singing through the bloody mist. We'll take our stand for this land and the stranger in our midst. Here in our home, they killed and roamed in the winter of 26. Who remember the names of those who died on the streets of Minneapolis? Trump's federal thugs beat up on his face and his chest. Then we heard the gunshots, and Alex Pretty lay in the snow dead. Their claim was self-defense, sir. Just don't believe your eyes. It's our blood and bones and these whistles and phones against Miller and Gnomes. Oh, Minneapolis, I hear your voice crying through the bloody mist. We'll remember the names of those who died on the streets of Minneapolis. They say they're here to uphold the law, but they trample on our rights. If your skin is black or brown, my friend, you'll be questioned, reported on sight. And in our chance of ice out now, our city's heart and soul persists. Through broken glass and bloody tears on the streets of Minneapolis. Oh, Minneapolis, I hear your voice singing through the bloody mist. Here in our home, they killed in Rome in the winter of 26. We'll take our stand for this land and the stranger in our midst. We'll remember the names of those who died on the streets of Minneapolis. We'll remember the names of those who died on the streets of
Bruce, you're taking this on the road across the country, beginning in Minneapolis. Tell us about the tour.
Not much to tell, starting in Minneapolis and going on to Portland and Los Angeles, of course, two other cities where they had to deal with ISIS terror, and then we're going to end up in Washington, D.C., and with a few words to say to the fucking White House.
And you're saying where ICE is present, does that mean you're taking it to airports now?
I've been in plenty of them, probably so, you know.
One other question. I mean, 41 bullets, the streets of Minneapolis. Now you just made news again this morning. The ACLU launching a national ad campaign featuring your Born in the USA, highlighting the landmark birthright citizenship Supreme Court case that they're going to be arguing on April 1st.
Right. Well, it's our pleasure to be working with the ACLU, and they finally put Born in the USA to some good and righteous use, so I'm glad about that.
Well, we can't end tonight without a joint rendition of the appeal someone made when Patti was singing, "People have the power," with all the musicians on the stage, including Bruce. Folks, thank you so much for coming out and celebrating. We hope you all join in.
Hello, everybody. Well, no rehearsal. I never saw these fellas before in my life. But we don't need a rehearsal because we have the people to back us up. No, let's do it. Dreaming, well, of an aspect bright and fair, and my sleeping, it was broken, but my dream, it lingered near, in the farmer, shining valleys, oh, where the pure air, rarefied, and my senses are newly opened, 'cause I awakened into the cry that the people have the power to redeem the work of fools. Upon the meek, the graces shower. It's decreed, the people rule. Come on. People have the power. Believe it. People have the power. Make it so. People have the power. People have the power. Vengeful aspects became suspect and bending low as if to hear, and the armies ceased advancing because the people had their ear, and the shepherds and the soldiers, where they lay beneath the stars, exchanging visions, laying arms to waste in the dust, in the form of shining valleys, where the pure air rarefied, and my senses are newly opened, awakened to the cry. Come on, people have the power. Believe it. People have the power. Make it so. People have the power. People have the power. Whoa. Where there were deserts, I saw fountains, and like cream, the waters rise, and we strolled there together. We learned to laugh or criticize. Well, and the leopard and the lamb lay together, a trinity bound. Well, I was hoping, in my hoping, to recall what I'd found. I was dreaming, in my dreaming, God knows, a pure view, as I surrender into my sleeping.